the stage our keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking on the topic, artificial intelligence and machine learning in supply chain powered by a platform. We're going to welcome somebody who is a results-oriented senior executive with over 26 years of experience. He is well known in the CXO communities and has been advising CXOs in areas of digitization, Industry 4.0, cloud, IoT, innovation models, and many other business disruption related topics. Ladies and gentlemen, he is focused on creating a sales organization driving value and sales with a high growth strategies priority for JDA software. Ladies and gentlemen, the very good looking, please put your hands together for none other than Mr. Martin Dube, Group VP, Asia Pacific, JDA. We want the CDs as well. He's used to it right now. Woo! Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Morning. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity for being here this morning and also for your investment in coming here today to spending some time. So I'll spend the next 30 minutes. I'll take you to a journey around AI and machine learning, and I'll go quickly through many slides in order to take you to that journey. Any questions at the end, I'm happy to spend some time with you. So what I'll be focusing on is understanding the landscape, also understanding AI, the industry challenge, and the disruptor in the field. So understanding the landscape, if we think of where we're at today, you probably know a lot more than I do within India, but you probably know that more than 60% of basically Indian business have adopted AI in some sort of form. They're looking into putting that within the organization. More than 50% of CEOs are looking also to actually plan to put AI within the organization. In smartphone in India is actually the largest place in the world when it comes to the size of the mobile that they have penetration, or more than 300 million. When it goes to the internet, same. The second largest country in the world has got the largest internet penetration. People say, you may say, so what? You don't have to worry about those in India. You have to worry about those that are actually outside of India, that are leveraging those user group in order to provide their product, in order to go through to the market. So it's actually a change coming in from the outside in. At the same time, you already know more than me, there are many made in India CEOs in the US. Many organizations, I could go through a big list. Jugaad Science, you know that the US created this massive satellite with massive costs and sent it all the way up to Mars to surround it. There's also others that spend less, 10% less, also send a satellite to Mars, thought it was only going to last 6 months to run around Mars, actually for 4 years, and then it ran. There's different way of innovation, and India has that innovation talents in place. When you look in terms of reverse innovation, innovating product that come from the outside comes to India, like the ECG machine from GE in the early days was extremely expensive to run. Reverse innovation, they actually built an ECG machine exactly for India here in India, and then they actually sell it outside of India for the market at, again, 10% of the fraction of the cost. Again, there's others. Fridge in the rural area. No electricity, no ice. The clay they actually use to put that's actually able to keep the waters and the vegetables and the meat cool inside without any power. Again, innovation here at a lot cheaper cost than a digital fridge. Consumers, washing machine, 8.8% of people within India has a washing machine. The average is 70%. More TVs in India, in terms when you look per person, it's actually they buy more TVs than they would buy a washing machine. One of the key things also that you should have read in the news yesterday is the CEO of Apple. He's dying to put some retail stores in India, wants to put retail stores in India. He really wants to come after that market, not because there's only 1.3 billion of people in India, but it's also because they see the potential and they see the value to be here India is not for the future. India is for the market now. So, but where's the population, right? You know that a lot of the population is actually in the rural area. If you look, 17% of village account for 50% of the rural population and 60% of the wealth. Now, I've gone in the rurals, in villages of 1,000 people and less, because I did my study at IMB in Bangalore, and the project was to go into the project. I know what's out there, and I know how you have to change also your thinking when you look into the market in India when you come in. You do have to put a little bit of jihadism to actually bring to the market some opportunities. Now, shifting the gear in terms of supply chain, there's a lot of survey out there that's gone to the supply chain, across a lot of professionals in order to achieve that visibility, but not too many in the supply chain executive feel they have that visibility, but when they start looking into the complexity of their supply chain, a lot realize that they don't have that visibility in place. So a few technologies, shifting gears, actually invested through the survey when you're looking into the market, is you have cognitive analytics, 82% new technology is actually going to be put in as investment into the market. AI, machine learning, is a 62%. And then the digital control tower visibility is about 50%, and 50% around AI connectivity. But they're all connected when you look at those technologies. You can't just implement one without actually implementing the others. They're actually connected in the way that the organizations are going into. And that's why these 4 trends are coming in quite heavily in terms of the market. When you look into artificial intelligence, it's purely a human intelligence basically able to provide perception, speech recognition around decision-making based and prediction. This is around the AI, where it's actually coming in terms of a quick definition. When you look in terms of the investment that's actually coming in and the impact from 18 to 19, the difference is this. You look at IoT, actually, the artificial intelligence went up. Red is 19. IoT went up also from blue to red, and cognitive analytics went up. Blockchain went down. When you look at these 3 technologies, the actual investment that went up from 18 to 19, and they went up at the same time, they are connected when you actually implement the solutions in terms of leveraging your data in order to appreciate that visibility that need in order to provide the right action. That means the survey and the complexity of capturing the data is actually reality. This is not just a survey where saying these are the technologies to go forward. So that means there's a triangulation of the 3 technology where it's coming in. When you take that and you double click it and you put it in an industry, you look into where it's actually coming out the most. What industry is actually coming out the most, who's investing? Consumer package, transport, retail, auto, and high tech. Again, when you look at the market, and you look at the region, and you look within India, again, that is also that same trend, tying the technology, tying to the industry, and you got basically that triangulation of where it's actually coming in. And this is where these industries are actually looking to invest in terms of the technologies that are put in place. Now, there are giants out there, don't need to be in India, that if you go back to my first slide, who's got the largest market in mobiles, who's got the largest market in internet, how do you think they're going to access people? They don't need to come here. So that's where things are actually coming into the market, and these are things that actually you have to also not just look in India, but you have to look outside, what's happening around you. And then when you're combining the big data with data science and machine learning in order to align your business process, this is some of the mission that the organization are putting in. Now, I know you're quite digital, but if you take your pens out, I'm just going to run my AI machine learning on my phone, and I will give you the 6-digit numbers for tonight for the lottery, and we'll run it out, and then you could all run and get it. But unfortunately, machine learning is not for this because it's purely random, right, the lottery. But when you look into the machine learning and the analytics, you can move to the pendulum around the retail, into the grocery, into the logistics, into the manufacturing. When you look the way that people are making decisions, they're quite warm. Sit around a table, judge on what prediction should be coming in, the heart feeling in terms of what this should be, and actually look at framing the effect. Could be 7 people around the best tool on earth, Excel, and really putting that together. But when it comes to a machine, it's very different, because machine is cold, right? There's aircon in the steel. There's no heart in the server. It's cold, right? And it's built on algorithm. So if you want to compete against machine learning, you could do that. If you got a birthday card coming up to one of your friends, if you could write the birthday card faster than the machine can, that means you're winning. Because you're going to take you years to put all your emotions on what you're going to put on that card. Machine don't care. Going to look at how the person look, where he or she is from, what age they are, what they like, and it's going to be straight into it. So the decision, the naive base, there's all base. The algorithm is putting it, and it's very fast and cheap to actually, and very rational in terms of the way they follow the algorithms. To the point that you could put so much algorithms, if you have the right algorithms, machine learning and AI without the right algorithm goes nowhere. Just let's put it in place. So if you have the right algorithms in that place, and if the way that it makes decision is actually learning. So once it's got that right algorithms in place, it learns. Machine learning without the right algorithms, it doesn't come out intelligent at first. That's why you need to put the right algorithms so you could get more intelligent and make the right decision as it goes forward. And these are some of the use cases already in place between the retail, manufacturing, and 3PL that actually already put in place in the market. There's more, but these are already use cases that customers are leveraging into the market. Now, I mentioned around machine learning around the construction. Algorithm is key. Definitely, without the algorithm in place, it will have a big challenge around artificial and machine learning, because if you don't understand the data set, the right algorithm in order to write intelligence, so the machine could learn, it's just not going anywhere in terms of the market. And when it comes to AI acquisition, in the US, for example, since the 2010 to 2018, it keeps increasing. AI is not something, it's like the cloud in 2007, then the IoT in 2012. AI has been there for early days, it just was not put in place, and now it's a lot of acquisition. Who's acquiring a lot of AI technology in order to move to the right place? But when it comes to the industry challenge, you can't basically solve some of the problems by using the exact same kind of thinking that you did in the past when you caused the problem at first. You have completely need to change the way of thinking in a way to actually put in place, because it's actually changed the way to resolve things in a different ways. And our supply chain organization, when you look in the way that people are thinking from a theory, is 25% is basically the issue. To resolve an issue is purely around the reactive. The theory says 75% is driving around the planning, but the reality is actually 70% is actually reactive on the issue. 70% of the people are actually reacting versus planning. And this is why. Because shorter product life cycle, direct to the customer, ecosystem drives variability, more data, it's complex in terms of the challenge. You've got volatility around the predictivity of the challenge. Frequencies around the response time of the challenge is moving fast. There's no time to actually sit around and wait for having the resolutions. And these are some questions that we've got from the users themselves. If you look at the bottom, current methods are mostly through emails and phone, which results in no systematic corporate memory. If you still use emails and phone to solve a problem, you don't send an email because there's a fire beside you to a fire department and then wait for the response to come back and they say, where's the fire? Then you go back and look and you send it. It's done, it's over. Same, 60 to 95% of the master planner time spent in addressing a problem, very short-term horizon. So these are day in the life, which is causing a lot of challenge within the way that the reality is versus where things are coming into. So when you look into day of life, you've got lack of event visibility. It goes to an export to Excel. People still love the best tool, Excel, still move it to Excel. You then, priorities are not obvious. You then have the simulation. You then move to a phone, email, Skype, business partners, and then you then go back to the transaction, to the ERP, and then you start again to the simulation. When in reality, with an AI in terms of improved decision making and able to provide less time, You would start by real-time and predictive events. You would then move to urgency, ranking, and clustering, and then into an intelligence in order to do a simulation and collaboration, because you could go live collaboration now. You've got technology. You don't need to send that email, call, or sit in a room. You could leverage that collaboration and then go back to a decision in order to execute. So when it comes to a platform itself, we imagine in these days having that layer of the technology all the way up and putting the right algorithms and then moving to a digital platform and able to, for example, able to understand when and predict some of the customer where they would buy and when and what in that sense. In a live matter, in a way to predict and in order to prescribe is where most of the organizations are trying to go into in order to compete. And this is where our technology and where we put in place also from the JDA, which you probably heard for the last few days, is that we've changed the way we also do things. We basically also changed the way that we leverage our partnership with Microsoft, for example, power and construction with key technology handler in order to make it easy for the customers, so in order to also address the speed of the market and also able to connect with the unconnected in order to provide the right insight so they can make the right decision in a mobile, digital way through different layers of platform that we've got. So that means platform is key, and it's an open platform that we've got in place. And we collected the right technology partners in order to create that platform and in order to write the right layer and in order also to deploy it in a fast, efficient way in order to provide this to our customer in the market. But when it comes to your digital supply chain twin, which having that platform in place is more a platform without an AI and that machine learning and the right connectivity is just a platform. Platform without that history on the supply chain, again, it's just a platform. You still have to provide that insight and connect it. Now, some of you may have digital twins. I've got mine. It just happened that he looks like me, but he's in Hollywood. The secret got locked yesterday, right? So putting the joke aside on the digital twin, a digital twin is basically looks at the way that a user would have actually reacted in the past and provide he or she some offering the way to resolve a problem based on how they reacted in the past. So to make the decision a lot faster and also to provide insight of circumstances that happened in the past and it's happening now, live. Because a digital twin is not built on batches, it's built on live insights. So that means you can move fast and you could react fast and you could actually provide the right area. So when it goes to a digital twin, this is the platform itself, just one area around the control tower, is that starts off, just happened that today the user's called Paula, but it looks into the decision it turns to taken automatically and the ones that's marked in the planner's intent. It looks like the action that they need to resolve in today in terms of needs of the action and the urgency of the matter. It then looks in the disruptive event that can potentially cause the issue in the future, and it lists them. What are the things to actually follow and monitor live that could happen in that future? At the same time, if you drill down to the next layer, it actually gives you what are the guidance urgency you need to look into. Live, react in the area. And you could actually click on the bubbles itself, and it will actually go into the urgency that's pending your decision. You could turn it on automatic, but it's pending on your decision itself. The other area is also is that it gives you the problem details and suggested resolution. So it's not just giving you what you need to do, but it's also giving you a list of the details and what suggestion that you should do. Then it also gives you the point of time of arrival and delays that could occur in that journey. It just happened, this is a delay of 7 days. So what are the costs that you could actually put in place and what are the delays that actually are happening? At the same time, you could simulate. Now, you don't need to go and simulate in a test environment and get yourself disconnected. You could actually simulate change into suggested resolution in the review, what business impact it will do live. You could do that on your mobile. You could put it in here, and you go basically look at the scenario, and then it gives you the cost to serve impact. It also gives you the impacted of the product. Also give you impacted of the customer. Live scenario, what will impact if you make that decision? live and at the same time. The other key point is that you could collaborate, as I mentioned earlier on in the terms, shorten the time of visibility to market, is you actually could collaborate live. So you don't need to go back in a room, 7 planners together, and talk and share some of that. You could collaborate, see who's online, highlight what you would like to put in place, and then get some feedback also to some of your peers. So you can do that live. Now, you could also look at history inside, that root cause. You can actually look into the history of the challenges, issue in a way that's actually similar events for the future. So you could have the history, look at what's coming from the future, and try to match the both. And that's, again, you can't do that with historical data. It has to be both live and with the history. And the key thing, because of time, I've gone through a very fast scenario around a Luminate digital control tower, is that it gives you translation in terms of revenue growth for an organization. When you move from old ways of doing business, but when you move to ways to move to a digitization of a platform in terms of your organization. Now, we, JDA, not only coming here today with a platform of the future, but we come here with use case, actually implemented and put in place in the market already. So one key area that I want to highlight is that for a retailer, for example, they could have stores decisions are made every day, more than 10 million from our surveys. And then these are built by a set of data sets that are actually impacting some of these decisions. And these are more than 200 plus million that you could put in place. Usually a planner could only put 7 on an Excel sheet. But with machine learning and AI, you could actually expand a lot more. And this is where things get configured, depending on country, depending on location, depending on the industry, where you could actually pick the right set of, basically, in terms of decision factor to actually configure the platform itself. And that's why you need to put the right algorithm in place so you could learn and have the right decision for you. And for instance, what we've done in Morrison, which is quite a use case for today, I could give you a list, but I only brought 2. But Morrison had an issue. Issue was simple. You go to some of their store and it was out of stock. So simple issue to sell, right? Because some of the product that people would buy, depending on what location, was always out of stock. Because that means they didn't understand that environment. They didn't have the right visibility in the environment. They didn't have the right environment visibility of why they're going to next corner to their competitor versus coming to their store. So by basically providing them our Luminate store fulfillment, which is built on our platform, we're able to save them in terms of benefits. They became the supermarket of the year in retail industry, minus 30% of their shelf gap reduction, and being frozen long and life fresh, 2 to 3 days reduction in store stock holding, and also their stock went up. It just happened at the same time that our software was deployed. Quite a nice things that we like to leverage on that also. The other one is a retailer, Otto, German retailer in terms of clothing. Their challenge was simple. Also, they had balance between objective of profitable growth around pricing competition also. So that means we basically able to provide them our platform, which provided them benefits of 6 to 12% higher profit and revenue. And these 2 use cases are running live on our platform. We do have customers in the region that we also in process and discussion that we've maybe next year when we come back we could share, depending on the customer's willingness to share their implementation. We could have also use case with some of the region. Now, what I wanted to highlight, which is also new within JDA, is that it's an open platform around the API. So that means our partner and our customer can also work with us at JDA, which we had 500 of them that came to one of our key events in the US. Developers actually coming from customer side and partners looking at ways and testing our supply chain platform in an open form. So we also like to share that and have that breadth and grow that development environment to even have a larger pool of user group and people actually deliver and develop on our platform itself. And when we look in terms of AI and our AML approaches, we got 400 plus supply chain patents. So we come with patent. We got 100 plus of data scientists. We got superior today and superior trajectory around the automation supply chain, our proven and patent around AI, machine learning, white box and playbook driven, which we've got. We're focusing on results and also working with that key partnership. When it comes to JDA, we're not new also to India. We do have 2,400 people in India between Bangalore and Hyderabad, so it's not a place that we're a new starter. We come from a rich environment of customers and also key partners, which we want to continue and support all of you in that space. So for today, it's just short timing, and I wanted to spend some time purely around the AI and the machine learning and the digital platform, because these are new breadth of technologies actually moving into, and we as JDA move that direction where the market is moving and where the customer's need is actually looking into in order to provide some of the right business outcome that they're investing in. So it's actually big when you think of India, and then when you look into the competitors that are actually coming in that you don't see, that are coming in, that they're leveraging that mobility, and internet's actually put in place. I wanted to highlight at the beginning. You already have innovation in India, so we also work very closely with key customers that are also looking in ways on their own personal use case. It's different, and it's now. India market is not something in the future. It's actually now. So with this, you have to also think a little bit of Jugaad in a way to think the way that your market is going. And with this, I want to say to you all a big thank you for your time. And anytime I'm open to question. Thank you very much.
We're good for questions, so we can take one or two questions. Raise your hand. All right, fantastic. Can we please have a mic? Taken all the way across. Sir, could you please continue to raise your hand and also introduce yourself when you ask your question? Thank you.
Hi, thanks for the very nice session. Now we are seeing an evolution in Indian market. On one hand, there are lots of processes, manual interventions. How quickly can we adapt to all this? It requires lots of investment. So do you guys have a customized approach to start in a basic manner rather than a very advanced what China or Germany is doing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now remember, we are, myself, the team, my boss, we are in Asia. So that means we also not just with India, but we go to organization and country like Southeast Asia and others that have some very similar ways, the way that they need the similar requirements, putting Japan, Korea, China, and Australia aside. There is some very key niche. But always think India's going to jump areas, right? It's not just going to move from one area to the other, because India's already investing on that massive database where all the security and all the data is put in place, right? They have to start from scratch in this area. So the way we put in place it, we do have a methodology, and we are tied in with key partners, and we've got our resources within India to actually filter that roadmap to make it for India market also. So the platform itself is there, but it's not built for US and EMEA. We've actually made it in an area that it can be also deployed and put in place for Indian market with that methodology in place to ease and shorten. So yes, to your point, we do have, and this is something we could even share, and even the man in front of you looking at you, Mr. Umesh, could even give you a full detail on this one here.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much.